sincerely. But thank you all for coming out to our info session. As I said, I'm Hungry Pad's incubation manager at Simulokho. And what we do these sessions for is to just give you as much information as possible about what is the program that we have, how should you consider the application, and what is it that we're looking for. But key to it is that we then enable you to then ask some questions, which we'll then answer if we can, and maybe then respond later. But what it also does is that it ensures that when we then continue with our call outs, how we do our marketing post the info session, we've got a lot more information, got a lot more insights on what it is that you guys are doing. So as I said, I'm Anguli Parts Incubation Manager. So apologies for my voice. So it's gonna be oscillating much like the network did earlier throughout the session. So my apologies for that. But I'm not alone. I'm with a couple of my colleagues. I'm with Noktula, who spoke earlier, and she's the one that's coordinating the project. I'm also with Polani Vilankulu, who's the marketing manager for the project. So welcoming them as well. So yeah, no, apologize. I'll be coughing and everything. So it's just the nature of the game. So as I shared earlier, this is the Mzansi Tech Accelerator, and I'll go through some of the slides that we have first. But by way of rough agenda, is that the idea that we do is that we just go through a little bit of what's happening, much like we did the opening already. And then after that, we will then talk about who are the stakeholders in the program, and then sort of like drill down with more detail around what the accelerator is about. And then you guys can then field your questions, and then we'll close. So it shouldn't be too long, but in the short time that we have together, it should be potent and should be informative, but it should also allow you to then field the questions that you need. So thank you very much. I say apologies again. So the stakeholders that we have together, as you can see listed underneath here with the slide, is that this is an initiative of the Technology Innovation Agency. The Technology Innovations Agency is known as TIA. It is an agency of the Department of Science and Innovation. So what they do is that they facilitate technological innovations throughout South Africa with the support of the Department of Science and Innovation. So they implement, they go out into the ground, they find the businesses, they incubate them, they support them. You can find a lot of businesses like this. So we are happy to be partnering with them as one of the stakeholders. Unfortunately, there was a time pressure that we couldn't get them here quickly. But if I'm missing someone who's from TIA and is here, maybe it's time for them to come in, that maybe he's joining last minute and that kind of thing. So maybe if there is, that would be helpful. But if there's not, that sort of like gives us a summary of what they are and what their role is in the program. Then of course you've got Timulukhong. Timulukhong is the implementing partner. What that means is that they will be coordinating the work, they'll be coordinating, engaging with you. So you most likely be talking to me and Tula throughout this process about the program as we collect some of the information, as we drill down through the shortlisting and all that kind of stuff that is handled at Timulukhong. But Timulukhong means beginnings in Setswana. It is a digital innovation hub. What it tries to do is to facilitate innovation as well. But the way that it tries to do it is try to piece together different kinds of digital innovations and supports them. So this is one kind of a project that an entity like Timulukhong would do. We could go into a long-winded explanation, but I think for purposes of this conversation, I think we should focus more on trying to ensure that you get the details of the information about the program as possible. So at least you understand who Timulukhong is. Timulukhong's other name is Wits Incubator. Because it is an entity of Wits University, although it sits outside of Wits University. So you can Google Maps 41 Tuta Street and you'll find where Timulukhong is. It's just outside the Wits main campus, which is why Wits University is also the other stakeholder. It's a stakeholder really because they are the university that is also trying to innovate and trying to use research that has been put together, whether it is research, IP that the university has and trying to commercialize it, and it uses entities like Timulukhong to then ensure that this works. So the nice meeting point is that the more Timulukhong does programs like the Mzansi Tech Accelerator, the more it finds the right kind of information, the right kind of tone of how it can then commercialize the IP that comes out of the university. So it's really closely tied to the university, but it also ensures that the global name, as you can see, it's 100 years old, it's a big institution. So once you stay closer to the big institution, it means you can also do big things. There's just the nature of how it works. So that gives you a sense of the stakeholders that are part of the program, but which is why Mzansi Tech Accelerator also stands out by itself and has its own product and it's its own entity in the sense that it allows us to continue it over the next few years because it has its own profile. It allows us to maybe also join forces with other entities, but it also allows us to show with ease that this is what we're doing, not necessarily tied to either of the other entities that I've mentioned earlier. So yeah, I'm also thinking I'm talking a bit too much for a person with a voice this bad. So guys, I'll summarize as much as possible. So this takes us to the part where we now talk about the information. So I know we've done a call out. We've sort of like asked you guys to apply for startups, tech startups that have got that are validated. They that have a prototype, which would be validation in a relevant environment, but also if you have revenue models that have been validated as well. So the jargon that is used is technology readiness, as you can see in one of the points that I have there. But what that means really is that you've gone into the market, you've given your technology or whatever idea you have to someone. Someone has looked at it, they've seen it, there's users who have used it, but you've also received a little bit of money for the product that you're offering that now speaks to that you've got a validated revenue model because now I can invest in you if you are making money. It's not so much about the numbers of how much, but it's that starting point, that you are at a starting point, but you've not just been at a starting point, you've done some groundwork yourself. So these are the two main things that we will be focusing on. And when we make the profile of who do we want for the Mzansi Tech Accelerator, this is what we're looking at. Important to note there is that there are other much more admin type requirements, which include that the entity must be registered in South Africa and operating in South Africa. So that's the important part of it. That whoever is now making an application must be at least 18 years old, because that's very important. We don't want to have a child labor here or have younger kids than they're supposed to be. It's only a function of us being able to ensure that we can work with you throughout the program. And your business must be at least 12 months or and less than 36 months. So that means you have time period where you could build the entity that you have. And in that short time period, so 12 to 36 months, we're really talking about, okay, I'm about doing like a year and a half. And in that year and a half, you've tried to do something. Um, you try to piece something together. You've gotten someone to pay for the service that you offer. You've also gotten someone to pay for it. So, and you've built something that someone can pay for. So we want people who've done a little bit of work, because what the accelerator does is that it accelerates the growth that they've already had from in that short time period. So that is why the profile must be someone who's 12 months in and less than 36, because the idea is that after 36, you could be you should be bigger than that. But this requirement is a flexible requirement. It shouldn't be a reason for you not to apply. But we really want someone who's done some work. So also think of this in that sense. There is the letter of the law, but there's also the spirit of the law, depending on the kind of application that we will receive. So don't not because you are on 4 years and it's been tough. We understand the context of this country. It might have been very difficult for you to piece it together. You've had to go to work and that kind of thing. So let that not be a deterrent from you applying. But we will try to find someone who's really early, who's there. But please do apply. Then the last thing that we're also looking at outside of TRL5, outside of IRL6, is whether or not you are focusing on stuff that ensures environmental wellness, social sustainability, and governance. This speaks to SDGs as well. So ESG and SDG are more or less similar in some sort of way. But the idea there is that these two elements speak to the sustainability of the product that you're bringing together. So you don't necessarily want to go into, we fund these sectors, we don't fund these sectors. What we want to do is to say, whatever product you've built should be sustainable, should provide impact, should be something that when people look at it can provide some level of sustainability for them. So of course, we'll take questions and answers at the end. So if you've got questions, please note them down and we'll piece them together at the end. So we've spoken about the profile of the businesses that we're calling for, and that's what this information is about. But sure, you've told us what you want. Okay, what do I get is probably the question that you have now. And what you get is that outside of the last point that is on this list that I have, that one person will get 50,000 Rand equity free grant, which some entities have also said is too small. It's not what you guys are looking for. You guys want 100,000 given the technologies and whatever. We can talk about that in the question and answer session. But that is the big financial benefit. And I put it last because it should be the last thing you think about if you're trying to build your business as well. Because that's the idea is that you've gone to market, you've got a customer, you've validated your business, someone has paid you for your service. We want to help you do that better, right? And the 50K grant should be something that amplifies the work you've already done and not the stuff that then gets you to kick off. So that's where the thinking is. A 50K grant could get you a valuation. Someone could valuate it. You could go to an entity, charge like around 20, 25,000, 27,000 Rand, and you could then validate. You can so like provide a valuation of your business, which will allow you to then increase the investors that you can get. So it's a good thing to think about the benefits from that angle. Outside of that angle is, of course, we want to foster innovation. I've spoken a little bit about that. We want to accelerate the growth. It's also part of what I have spoken about, that we want to move you up the TRL and the IRL levels that we spoke about earlier. Apologies, I do need to take a cough. I'm sorry. Apologies for that. Then the other piece, which is really at the center, is facilitating collaboration. This idea that we use at Similar Home is called hunting in packs, because we are calling for 10 startups, as you can see up front. The reason we're calling for 10 is that you guys will then engage into this accelerator together. You will engage, you will meet, we'll have virtual sessions, you'll have virtual masterclass. You will share an experience, which is so important to be able to facilitate the right kind of collaboration between you guys so that you're able to see some of the linkages between you different entities where you can help the one out and the other one can help the other. So that's so important for this kind of program because collaboration is a missing piece in a lot of the work that is done by incubation hubs, by accelerators. And that is such a key component that we think is a benefit that you should be looking for because you never know who you're going to meet, guys. I always ask myself a question, why do I know the people that I know throughout my whole life? And I think there's a benefit in them. And those are people that I'm collaborating with a lot. So maybe it sounds too philosophical for you, but trust me, there's some practicality to it as well. So the other thing is that we want to enable market access in the sense that market access is not so much just the opportunity of someone to pay. Market access also should also be seen through the lens of opportunities, where there can be a potential opportunity. You can meet from the master classes someone who can link you to someone who can give you a connection, someone who can tell you about something that you didn't know that can then enable you to get the market access if you leverage whatever information you've been given. So it's different from collaboration, but this is now like the practical bit. So maybe collaboration is more philosophical and theoretical in your eyes, but enabling of market access would be where the money is. But it's not so much the money that you would get in hand, but it's how is this opportunity that you can unlock by finding the right people in a tech accelerator like this one. Then the last thing is that we want to support sustainability, and this speaks to the ESG and the SDG stuff that I spoke about earlier. This idea that we, as the Mzansi Tech Accelerator, want to ensure that the sustainability in business. So that gives us a good starting point to have a conversation for you guys to field questions, for you guys to ask if there's elements that you want to find out that can help you with your application. And then yeah, we'll open the floor. I'll stop the slides for now and then I'll come back after the fact. Notula, please do note some of the questions down so that when we do our debrief, we're clear on what exactly some of the questions were. This will inform also how we then continue to market the piece. If there's things that you think are missing, please do so. also, if you've got comments, you guys have probably been in other accelerators, there's things that you're worried about, concerned about, please, this is an opportunity for you to field all those things to us. Thanks. I need to raise my voice. Okay, so there's a question on the chat. I see Mohau has a question. So I see the question, we'll answer it just now. Tiri, so Mawate, let's give you a time to ask a question, then we'll sort of like answer the questions together. The two questions from Mohau and Tiri. Tiri, so go ahead, ask a question.
All right, thank you. So you mentioned that businesses that qualify is 12 to 36 months. However, you are also flexible on the 36-month side on if you are more than 36 months. However, what about the opposite of that? What if you are less than 12 months? Yeah, that's the first question. And then you also mentioned that uh, products built. What if you are providing a service that is leveraging technology rather than a product itself or an invention? Yeah, so those are my two questions.
Okay, thanks. Sorry, I was not mute. Yeah, so I think your question, Siri, so like echoes the sentiments that Mohau put. So on the question of being less than 6 months, so we're flexible in both ways. But if you've seen the application form, what you'll see there is that we ask for your pitch deck. So your pitch deck will inform the kind of stuff that we have. So it will inform how we then make the assessment. Because when we have a pitch deck, we get a clearer sense of what it is that you do. You tell your story, and we get a sense of what it is that you do. But our thing will still be we want to see some traction, and some traction will be the what informs. Because we want you to have started a little bit. We want you to have shown a little bit of commitment. We want you to show that you are really interested in the building of this business, and you will stay the course in the 12 weeks that we will be together so that you build the business going forward, or in the 2 months that we'll be together so that you continue building your business. So when I use product on the other end, it was just a function of an example, just making using product. But even if you're leveraging technology, the idea is that is your technology something that someone has already started to buy. So just as I said, there's a spirit of the law and there's a letter of the law. There's a law sort of like guides the outcomes that we do, but we want you to make your applications. So I think there's something South African about the questions that you guys ask as well around what if, what if, what if. Sometimes I've made applications for jobs that I'm not even qualified for just because I'm trying to see, give me a problem. In fact, is what I'm saying. Give me a problem when we do the assessment that, hey, this guy doesn't meet the criteria, but look at what is more fascinating about the stuff that is put on the table. That's the kind of attitude we'd like you to have. And that's the kind of attitude that really speaks to what a true entrepreneur is about. Someone who's willing to push boundaries as well. We who have to do the admin stuff will have to worry about it. So put your best foot forward, guys. Put together a nice application form. It's not long. The pitch deck is in accordance with how you've built your story before. So we'll do the assessments and then we will choose accordingly. We're looking for 10. So that means there's a big number that can be chosen. So that's always a good thing. Then once we are now in the accelerator pit, it will inform whoever becomes the recipient of the 50K grant. So yeah, I need to cough again, sorry. Yeah, any more questions, any more comments from everybody who's on the line? Let's engage. Bongan, you can't show me your face and not say anything.
No, thing
It's
is,
unfair.
no, the question that he asked you just now gave me a little bit of clarity. Because we managed to gain traction via conducting a survey and getting to understand whether people are interested in what we're trying to do. And we then requested them to sort of give us their email addresses and cell phone numbers so that we can, you know, capture that information, and while we finish our MVP, then engage them.
That's actually nice. So what will be key, even for you to unlock? I don't know if you've made an application already, but if you
Yeah.
haven't, what would be key for you to unlock would be to say, how do I tell the story in the pitch deck? How do we receive the information that you've done? Because we've
Okay.
never met, or it's for the first time. But as
Yeah.
businesses, sometimes they struggle to articulate their story in a way that whoever's receiving the information can sort of like make a clearer sense of what it is that they've done, how you've
All right.
released that you've done the traction that you're speaking about. So definitely think about how you can unlock that and paint a clearer picture for those of us who have not
Okay.
seen the work that you've done in the background. So
All right.
yeah, there's something to really. So yeah, thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
I don't know if there's any other questions. Tembin Kosinzo says, I created a very functional e-commerce. Tembin Kosi, I'm not going to read this thing. If you can speak, please speak. Please speak. Would like to hear your voice. Tembin Kosi. Tembin Kosi is Dr. Zelling. It's fine. He says, I created a very functional e-commerce platform for buyers and sellers. I can share the link if you want to see. Yes, that's how you can piece it into the page deck. My problem is getting users to use the platform. How do I go about that? So you will necessarily be too tied with this if the users are not there, because we want you to have started, like get started. But this is a good start, right? Um, so as I said earlier, throw in the application, give us the problem, and we are happy to have problems. Trust me, we're also entrepreneurial in nature. We're trying to solve them. So if you have something that you think is worth submission, just throw it in there. Let us have a problem. But as I'm saying, you wouldn't necessarily be neatly tied in because of not having users as yet, because you want someone who's done something. But the fact that you've done something could convince us the other way. So as I said, the spirit of the law, there's a letter of the law. We are dealing with the spirit because, as we've always known, at Timulukong is that entrepreneurship is a spiritual thing. So I don't know if there are any other questions that you guys might have, comments. We can chat. You still have a few more weeks to apply, and I'll pull up that slide now. And there's links that obviously, if you found the link to this registration point, you also understand how the other stuff is working. Yeah, I don't know, guys. Please talk to me if there's anything. When I went to my doctor for this voice thing, he said to me, questions, questions, questions. Do you have a question about why your voice is like this? I'm also asking you guys, do you have questions about the Mzansi Tech Accelerator? So please do field as many questions as possible. Questions and comments, guys. Don't feel sorry for me that you don't want me to speak for any longer than I have already. Don't feel sorry for me. Just definitely say your piece if you have a question. So I assume that this has been quite clear. So maybe we should admit that sometimes meetings don't always have to be dragged on for no reason. So I'll put up my final slide, which speaks to the part about some of the admin stuff that you guys should just take into consideration. Like when is the application due? So we're on the 21st of February. Applications close on the 29th of February. So please get it out. I don't even need to get the slide out. But yeah, applications close at the end of the 29th of February. So please, but also don't be typical South Africans who only submit at the end. Just submit when you're ready, when you've pieced your story together, now that you've also received more information about what this program is about. So so I don't know, guys. Talk to me. We pull up my slide, which really just says when the thing ends. That's about it. So yeah. Any other questions, guys? Any other questions? So I see Mohau is back. Mohau, maybe let's talk because clearly you're the one that's willing to have a conversation with me. So Mohau, I'll wait on you to piece your question together, and maybe you'll be the last point. If your mic is good, Mohau.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yeah, no, come on. At
Wallah.
least sounds better
Yeah,
than mine. Yeah.
Yeah, so the one question I really have is, you know, we've built an MVP, won a startup, won some awards, and then now we had to like not cancel, but we had to like stop the development because there were a few things we wanted to tweak, right? But we currently like under 12 months. The MVP is being retweaked, but there are some things, you know, such as some partnerships and so forth. So I think it's still a good idea to apply because also I'm just worried about the thing of being under 12 months and not having paying users by the time I actually hit the application. But I mean, in my pitch deck, I sort of like outlined everything there in terms of the awards that we won and the partnerships that we secured. So it's like a good idea to go ahead, or should I sort of just,
Yeah. Definitely a good idea to go ahead.
okay,
Because maybe the wording speaks to users and people who've got your product, but the idea is that you validate it, that there's value in this thing, right?
oh,
That's really the word that is used, whether you're talking TRL or IRL. The
sure,
big connecting word between the two things is validation. And if you
yeah,
can prove validation, then you are most likely, even if you're under 6 months. But the idea was that when you craft a program, right,
yeah,
our thinking, and let me just go back to those slides, when you craft a program is that you assume certain things, but obviously in the market, you find things that are different.
yeah,
And part of having these conversations, like I said earlier, is sort of like work through some of these nuances that sit in between the letter of the law. Not everything makes sense in black and white, right? So
yeah,
you also then need a little bit of this color. But as you can see, between all the words, the keyword between TRL and IRL is validated. So have you validated? Show us that you validated. The thinking when you draft a program is that you assume if someone has been in for 12 months, they've gotten some traction, they've validated a little bit. And then under 36 months is this idea that you have not grown too big to need more than like 50K as a grant. You now need more money. But
yeah,
there's a context to the South African experience that I think should always come through. And that is why we're saying there's a spirit of the law as much as there's blend of the law. But we drafted this obviously trying to piece how we've seen it done elsewhere, how programs have been run, sort of like trends that we see. But there'll always be outliers. And if you're an outlier, it's best to always submit. You're most likely to catch something. So yeah, I don't know if there's anything else. Maybe I'm missing stuff on the chat.
I got one more if you
Uh,
don't mind. Yeah,
I'm
just got
giving you
one.
Messi.
Yeah, sorry, I just have one more question. Because I'm seeing no one's asking.
Yes.
Yeah, so I wanted
Yeah.
to ask, what's the rate of success of the companies that have went through your incubator in terms of growth? Do some of them go on to raise, you know, further funding through VC firms or whatever, or do they like what have you seen from the companies that went through? Are there any success
See,
stories?
I knew you and I were supposed to talk as opposed to you typing. Now that we spoke, we are similar home, so we've got a couple of programs that we run. And
Yeah.
maybe the best thing you guys can look at to see the potential of the work that you guys do as to how far it can go is checking out a program that we ran with some of the startups from South Africa that we were also working with through another program. Because the Mzansi Accelerator, it's its first year, so it's piloting. And it's starting at a lower level, which is why we had this 12
Oh,
to 36 months, so like a pipeline. Some of the business that we started with at a higher level, you can check out the Irish Tech Challenge. The Irish Tech Challenge, we had health tech businesses who were well advanced. We had talent tech, agri tech businesses that were well advanced. So we sort of like trying to use this as a pipeline for that as well. So if you want to see how far life can go or how far you can go, definitely check out all our social media platforms, Irish Tech Challenge. You can find it on our website as well. So like startups that were there, we've chosen 5 in that one. They each received
oh,
10K in funding. So if you want to see the likelihood of success and where else this thing can go from a home point of view, definitely check out the Irish Tech Challenge, which is I think a flagship project that we have. So yeah. I hope this sort of like summarizes and answers your question nicely.
yeah. Actually, my friend actually made it into the Irish Challenge, Vio Pakadi from Funda. So I can always have a conversation with him as well to sort of gauge anything that I need to know further on.
Hey, now that you mentioned names, wow. Now I must say I know Vuyo.
No,
Now it
man.
sounds
You you mentioned the Irish Challenge, and it just hit me that Ghana, you know. But yeah, no, I think you've answered all my questions. From my side, that's it. I'll take it from there.
no offense, please definitely throw in your application. And yeah, Vuyo is a good example of how far people can go.
All right. Thanks a lot, man.
In fact, talk to him maybe now around his experience in the Irish Tech Challenge, and then maybe that can inform you even better, maybe to believe. So yeah, definitely go in and talk to him as well. So yeah, guys, thank you very much. I like putting people on the spot because they are here. I mean, why else did you guys come if you didn't want to talk to me? Pete, Mahlangu, anything you want to say before we close? Yeah, I can see. Now you are leaving. You've gotten all the answers you want. Now you are running away, guys. Okay, I understand. Lesego, Mkhorosi, 0. Jeremiah, oh. Okay, then we've also got other colleagues here that joined later. We've got our CEO, Mark Harris, and Priyanai. Yeah, but yeah, guys, if there isn't any more questions, I'll sort of like allow us to end earlier than we had planned. Please definitely fill out your application, send it out to other people as well, since you guys got the information. And yeah, we're looking forward to doing the shortlisting and having some of the best tech businesses in South Africa that we can help build. That is what we do. That is our work, to help you build. Without any further ado, thank you very much, and guys, enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Thanks.